Hey this is Dave Desai, welcome back to my channel. Today we have a more interesting and less light tea. We're going to touch on the small controversy and a few issues with the recent BTS merch and what happened there. I also want to get into the viral message that happened with the company and what went down. So hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Red Dumpling, tea spilling mug merch, and let's get into it. The first thing that I want to get into today is BTS's merch. So I have a lot to say and I need to give context. BTS has been launching merch for the past month or so, and it's not a typical merch where it's just the boys' faces on that. I feel like with the rise of celebrity retail brands like Fenty and Kylie Cosmetics, there's been an increasing trend in creating products that celebrities sell that not only just have the celebrity's name on it, but also have actual value and are something that you would actually use in your day-to-day. BTS members started dropping merch from PJs, wind chimes, projectors, to hoodies, to bags, and they don't have specific BTS designs on them. If you know the merch and you know of the boys, then you might recognize it if someone has this merch on the street and that they're an army. But if you're unaware of who BTS is, the merch just appears to be something cool and cute. Of course, since these designs have been selling out like hotcakes, and when I say hotcakes, I mean like literally fire cakes, because the merch sells out in like 1 second. This is not an exaggeration. So it is impossible to get it, and of course with that, the people who have gotten it, some have chosen to resell it for like 500% more than the original cost, which you can afford that, then good for you, but I can barely afford the price of the original. And then there's other people who really like the design and choose to recreate the design, and there were some complaints online about that. From what I've seen, I couldn't find any duplicates or very similar replicas of the BTS merch, and I looked. I was curious and a little tempted, but I didn't do it. Try to never buy fakes. Hybe, set up a pre-order system, please. This is what makes people want to buy fake items, because the real ones are either too expensive or sold out, but I cannot find anything similar to those designs. I was seeing hoodies with similar words like Jimin's merch where it says, "You will never walk alone," but that is a common phrase, and any design I find don't seem to be exactly like Jimin's design. I don't know where these comments accusing other designers stealing from BTS came from, but I thought it was interesting that there were concerns over items being copied and essentially quote-unquote stolen. I'm not saying it's okay at all, but if there isn't any BTS merch left to buy, it's not like these imitations are stealing money from Hybe or BTS. And in fashion, having dupes and replicas is a part of being and making fashion. It's gonna happen. My feelings on fakes are split down the middle. I see both sides. Of course, with any BTS launch, there's going to be controversy, as there are so many eyeballs on the merch and products there. Another issue that is a bigger one that is about being copied is Jungkook's merch and the topic of cultural appropriation. Now, I don't believe the merch itself was being accused of this, but the promo video promoting the merch. So this is the projector merch that Jungkook designed. In the promo video, you see the merch. You see the projector projecting beautiful purple lights, and then in that specific scene, you see a teepee. I believe it's referred to. I don't know the history of a teepee, so I am not going to give a history lesson here, but it is something that is associated with Native Americans and is a sacred thing. Obviously, the projector has nothing to do with being Native, so there was an argument of whether it should have been in the video to portray the projector. The idea that I believe Jungkook or Hybe was going for was this idea of childhood or kids playing under the covers at home, and what a lot of kids would do because they saw photos of it was build a teepee or use chairs to build a little fort. Now, obviously, as a kid, if you build a teepee and didn't know what a teepee represented, then there's nothing inherently bad. But, once you know and you realize it's not great to keep doing something sacred like that incorrectly and build it in a non-ceremonial way, then you have to stop, because then it almost mocks the ancestors who saw this thing as sacred, holy, and meaningful. Because it's not cultural appropriation if you build a teepee where it's supposed to be built and in the right context. But if you do it for fun at a college frat party and it's supposed to be a holy thing, then it's not as great and can be often seen as mocking everyone who believes it's something special, because you don't understand the context of why a teepee is built and what it represents, which is exactly what a lot of Native American people felt when they retweeted the merch video and gave their thoughts. Now, I don't know how I feel about Jungkook or Hybe using the teepee in the video. Do you think the context was called for, or do you think they should not have used it at all? I want to open the debate here. I don't think it's my call to say whether I am offended or not. I don't have the right to speak on it because I don't know all the facts and I am not a part of this culture. In fact, I don't really have an opinion. I just want to lay it out and explain why people are offended and leave the decision up to you on what you choose to believe. And if you believe it was copied, or even if it actually was a teepee that was in the merch video, because it could be something that looks like a teepee. I have no idea what makes a teepee and what doesn't. For the people that I saw saying that these Native Americans were overreacting and looking for something something to be upset about, you have no right to say that. If someone is offended by something that BTS does, that anyone does, and it's related to culture, then that is their decision to be offended. And they can then make the decision whether they will choose to continue to be a part of the fandom or not. If we're not a part of that culture, we don't get to say whether we feel that culture should forgive or not. That is not how that works. BTS's main thing is spreading love and respect for each other. If BTS and HYBE hurt anyone, I don't believe this was intentional, and they would never intentionally hurt someone if they did. BTS is all about kindness and respect. We have seen that over and over again, and one of the main reasons I love HYBE so much, it's the respect that they treat their artists and their employees. Recently, the conversation about labels and their employees have been kind of a hot topic. I don't know if it's always been since the start of K-pop, but I know that since HYBE released their employee plans, like where the employees get to work their life on the HYBE campus and the amazing food that HYBE employees get to enjoy, people have been talking about the conditions of workers in labels and other labels as well. Recently, SM was under fire for a lot of stuff, and news sites have reported on some crazy things happening in the SM building. So if you don't know, it's very typical for any company to have a headquarters and not use the entirety of it. So half of the floors will be people and employees working for an agency, and then the other half can literally be like Nike employees or a bank call center. So if you do ever go to a label headquarters, then know that not everyone who enters the building works for that label. But reportedly, it was said that the SM building started shaking. I don't think this was because of an earthquake, but perhaps something was wrong with the internal building. Allegedly, SM had told their employees to come back into work after about a day or two of investigation. They realized that the building was fine. It was then reported by someone anonymously that the shaking was like vertical shaking, not horizontal, and that the company did not show any sympathy or concerns for the employees, hence telling them to come back to work. Other companies in the building had allegedly let their workers work from home, and others allowed them to leave work earlier. And now SM is being attacked for not caring enough to do the same and telling their employees to come back. I do find it weird that the comments came from someone anonymous. Obviously, I understand why they chose to remain anonymous, but it does take away the credibility a little bit. Like anyone can just send an anonymous claim. I have no doubt that SM would have done their due diligence in checking the building. I highly doubt anyone would just be like, a whole shaking is fine, and just let everyone go back to work. A check was likely done, and it was actually probably fine. SM has enough money to ensure the safety of their workers, and they gain nothing if the building is actually in danger and the employees stay. Labor laws are decent in Korea, and I wouldn't necessarily worry too much about that. However, I always vouch for the employees working from home if they want to. We do live in a 2022, and we have realized since the pandemic started that we all can get work done from home without ever needing to be in a physical office. So why not keep that going? I never understood the management's argument for not letting everyone work from home. Every meeting can be done through Zoom, training as well, and the company then saves money on office costs by not having one. They don't have to pay rent anymore, they don't have to pay electricity, and they don't have to be liable for their employees. If an employee hurts themselves at work in a company's office, that's an issue and on the company. But if you're on the clock and hurt yourself at home, the company is not liable for that. Also, there would be a lot less harassment claims and charges because everything is over Zoom. So if you do feel harassed by someone, it is easier to hang up and you're not in any real physical danger. So it's just all better. Let me know what you think, and if you want to see more K-pop reaction videos, go to my Patreon, link below. I can't post them here due to copyright, but you can get all sorts of reaction videos and requests. It's a great way to support the channel even more if you want to. Thank you so much for this lovely comment right here. I love you so much. There will be some videos that will pop up on screen, and I will see you over there. Bye.